Well, I might as well, just between us, 1,300 people and your sister, when or why are you going to be running for mayor of Toronto? Because we need something going down there. Just curious.
Well,
I'm sure a lot of people in this room would vote for you, raise money, and support.
Well, thank you. I've always said that municipal politics is the closest level of politics to my heart. But I'm very busy these days, sir. I don't know if you saw the piece of paper in front of me. I'm a celebrated television and radio host. But I recently, sir, I listened to my greatest fans online, and I decided I'm now the founder of a new organization called the Canadian Nepo Baby Success Network. Because sometimes being born on third base isn't enough. And as soon as our incoming president comes back from his trip to California, we're going to hit the ground running. And so, no, listen, I would like to very much one day, but I'm a little busy doing the things I love doing. And thank you very much for having me.
A real politician speaking. Dodging around. You come from great stock.
Yeah.
I loved your dad. I absolutely loved him.
He's a great man.
He'd call me up and pump me up all the time, and boy, do I miss him. And I used to go to Caroline. Your dad just got me going again. I felt like door knocking every time we hung up from each other, and boy, we miss him.
I miss him every day. But if I can say, as much and as hard as my sister works on behalf of her constituents and the people of Ontario, she is the glue that keeps our family together. Without her, we are just... we are far less than what we could be. She also cooks the single greatest Thanksgiving meal in the history of Thanksgiving meals, and I thank her for always welcoming us in her home.
She was a champion.
Mr. Premier,
yes,
thank you for having me here. Give us a sense, if you could, of where we stand in this tariff battle with the United States. From an outsider's perspective, it does feel, to use an expression from earlier today, that we are constantly on our back heel because we're always reacting to something new coming from the president or from someone on his team. Case in point, Howard Lutnick here in Toronto just less than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, something when you're dealing with President Trump or Howard Lutnick, it's challenging. And I thought Prime Minister Carney did a good job. It's about building relationships. But President Trump could agree to something one day. He'll wake up and change his mind the next day, and you won't even know what hit you. And I mentioned to the Prime Minister, yes, we have to strike a deal with the U.S., but you can't get rolled over by this guy. We're an economic powerhouse with the U.S. We're the number one customer. We buy over $356 billion a year, U.S., number one customer in the entire world. Ontario alone is the number one trading partner, and I always like saying customer, to 15 states, number two to 12 other states. We do $500 billion of two-way trade alone with the U.S. So if he can't get a deal, we have to hit back. We just have to. And I'm not speaking on behalf of any premier, but my good friend Scott Moe, he has the uranium, he has the potash. The uranium keeps their 94 nuclear facilities going down in the U.S. The potash could devastate U.S. agriculture. Ourselves, nickel, 60% of the high-grade nickel comes from Sudbury. That's used for their military, for aerospace, for manufacturing. This is just to name a few, not to mention our aluminum and our steel and so on and so forth. So I would definitely not roll over. I'd hit him back hard, in my opinion. And that's what he understands. He can't be bullied.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't be bullied. But it's a tough position Prime Minister Carney is in. But I'm glad they're building a relationship.
Yeah. Well, reducing the impact of tariffs on the Canadian economy was only part of sort of the broader Canadian strategy of weathering this storm. And one of the other aspects was reducing inter-provincial trade barriers. And the federal government had a stated goal of reducing all of them by July 1st. I know that we haven't necessarily hit that target, but there are a lot of moving parts in that. How would you assess where we are nationally on that massive project?
Well, we're moving along really in a fast manner. We led the country in making an agreement with 10 provinces and territories and we have a few more to go, be it Quebec and Newfoundland. I'm sorry, 11. We still have Quebec and Newfoundland to go, and great premiers. And what that does, to give you an idea, the majority of the people in Canada didn't even realize we had a Canadian free trade agreement amongst provinces. They didn't realize you couldn't ship a case of wine from BC over to Ontario or vice versa. We do $340 billion of trade, Ontario does, with all other provinces and territories. And as I mentioned, it'll add $200 billion to our economy and 6% to our GDP. And we were the first government to get rid of the exceptions right across the board to open it up. So hopefully the federal government, I know they said they'd get it done soon, but we have to make sure they get it done immediately.
With Ontario taking a leadership position on something like that, it's almost like a leap of faith. You have to say to the other provinces, we're willing to give this up, something that we've been protecting our piece of the pie for so long. We're willing to give up that piece of the pie. But in order for the pie to grow, everybody has to follow our lead. Have you sensed that that is the case? You said that there's new provinces that are holdouts, but have you sensed that more or less they are willing to agree that if we give up these little pieces that we're holding on to, the pie itself will grow?
Well, we're the largest market. I'm a free trader. I believe that we should all work together, and it increases the cost if we don't do this by 15% on our products. And Newfoundland, they're scared about their fisheries going over to Nova Scotia and being processed in Nova Scotia. I get it. Premier Legault, have a great relationship, smart businessman. He wants to have his own little proposal, so we'll work with him, and then we'll have all 13 of us on the same page.
So tariff strategy, interprovincial trade barriers. The third part of the strategy was to build out Canadian infrastructure, and the Liberals suggested the projects of national importance. The first five, the initial tranche of that list came out recently. Darlington was on that list. Now, critics would say Darlington was already well in development, didn't need a push from the feds. But the other criticism that I've heard levied is, and you referenced it in your speech, was sort of the burdenous regulatory system put in place by the Trudeau Liberals. It seems like, and this is the criticism that I've heard, that the response by this incarnation of the Liberal government has been to overlay that old innovation-killing regulatory body and system with a new system to speed things up. But the things that it speeds up are projects that are handpicked by the Liberal government and the Liberal government alone. Is that a fair criticism?
It's fair and it's accurate. But we're going to work hand in hand with the Prime Minister, and I know Minister Lecce will work with his colleagues, Tim Hodgson, which I think is another great, super bright minister, and I know Prime Minister Carney is fortunate to have him. It's his old Goldman Sachs buddy, and they used to call him Killer when he was on the floor. So, but he's no nonsense, get things done. But you can't just put lipstick on a pig and just try to cover it up. They have to come up with new ideas, get rid of the regulatory burden that's costing us massive amounts of money. As I mentioned to Prime Minister Carney, yes, we got to worry about Trump, but for now, let's start focusing what we can do. What can we do as a country to make ourselves more competitive by lowering corporate taxes, lowering personal taxes, getting rid of all the regulations and the burden, and unleash our country? That's what we need to do, and stop worrying about what Prime Minister Trudeau did for 10 years. This is a fresh start for him, and he has to just keep moving. And the other thing is, they have to move faster and quicker, as quickly as possible. And Sabia there, he's a smart guy too. He's a really smart guy. But sometimes government can just overwhelm you. So we need to start moving as quickly as possible and get things done. And we're going to be there to support them every step of the way.
We're hearing that the next tranche of projects of national importance are going to be unveiled before the Grey Cup. Are you hopeful? Are you hoping that the Ring of Fire is on that list?
Well, he told me he would be. I take him for his word, right? And when I'm all about a handshake, and when someone tells you they're going to do something, you do it. It's no different than ourselves. When we say we're going to do something, we get it done. So we're going to work with them, and
Well, let's assume for a second it is on the list. What happens the day after that announcement?
well, then we start moving and getting things done. Actually, the preliminary work's already being done.
Yeah.
We're already starting the road to the Ring of Fire with the Webber up in the far north, and Arrowland. Chief Sonny is just a fabulous chief, very progressive thinker. So they want to start, which they're doing right now, and I'm going to take a quick trip up there to again be there to support them any way we can.
Thanks so much for watching the show. Now, if you enjoyed what you saw, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode of The Ben Mulroney Show.